Hello, my name's Josh from the Majestic Procession, and in this short video I'm going to show you on what I record most of my songs. This is my main workhorse and has been for a number of years, and I think you'll be quite interested to see it and to see that it's still being used. So let's dive in. What we have here is a Yamaha MD-4 multi-track MiniDisc recorder. Now, some people might think this is a bit of a blast from the past. As soon as you say the word MiniDisc, people are thinking of course, the format which appeared in the early 1990s. And in some people's opinions, never really took off. Although I did have quite a few MiniDiscs myself, probably about 30 or 40. I found it quite convenient for recording an album onto it and carrying it around. But what we're actually looking at here is a totally different beast. This is actually a multi-track machine. This one has 4 tracks. This is the box of one that I'm working on at the moment. It's actually a data disc. It's a 140 megabyte data disc. And that goes into the machine here. And on a 4-track machine, that allows you to record something like, I think it's about 37 minutes of audio with 4 tracks. So that's pretty cool. So why do I still use this machine? That's a good question. Back in 1998, I think it was February or January 1998 when I bought the machine, I paid about 800 UK pounds for it, so that's quite a lot of money. So it's quite an investment at the time. What I'd been using previously was just audio cassettes and actually just dubbing over them each time. I didn't even have a multi-track tape recorder. And it was a pretty annoying process because it meant if you made a mistake, you couldn't undo them, you'd ruin that take. And you got very frustrated having to rewind the tape and go back to the point where you were, which I just found enormously frustrating. So this thing was a huge leap forward, because what it meant was that you can hit stop and record and jump around the track, punch in and out, and you don't have all that faffing around, rewinding and finding where you were, as we'll see shortly. So this was a huge step forward for me. And you might ask, why am I still using it today? Well, the fact of the matter is it still works fine. I get absolutely brilliant audio quality from it. And I have a kind of distrust of recording on computers. Anyone that used to record on computers back in the early 90s will probably testify that they weren't very reliable. They're very prone to crashing, and you might lose a lot of work that way. And even today, computers are still prone to doing updates at the most inconvenient times. So, yeah, why not still use this machine here? It does the job. The audio quality is fine. I know my way around the machine and I'm happy using it. So let's have a quick guided tour. I'm sure there are other videos on YouTube where you can have a look at these instruments and see how they work and where everything is. But this is how I use it. So on the left here we have the kind of mixer side of things. You have your normal volume sliders, a switch for punching in between playback and mic line. You can pan them left and right. And then you can assign the groups. So the first two are grouped as 1 and 2, and then you've got 3 and 4. And that allows you, if you're bouncing down, which I've just been doing on a track here, it allows you to bounce down 3 and 4 onto 1 and 2, which is quite handy. Next we have the auxiliary volume. What this does, it will allow you to control how much volume you send from each track to the auxiliary send, which could be an external effect that you then bring back into the mix. And you can control those individually for each track. The next 3 knobs are the graphic equalizer, so you have low, mid and high. So it allows you to have some basic equalization for each track. And then at the top here we have the gain, which allows you to control the gain of what's coming into that track up here. Your microphone or line inputs are at the top here. And as you can see, you get a stereo sub in as well, which in principle allows you to have up to 6 inputs coming into the machine simultaneously, although of course you'd have to assign them to either 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. You wouldn't be able to separate them out after the fact, but that does at least give you some extra flexibility there. And then you have stereo out and monitor out, so you can get the sound out of the machine. Over here we have direct track out. I don't think I've ever used that facility, but we do have auxiliary send and auxiliary return, which are quite useful if you want to add an effect onto the sound. It allows you to send it out to an external effect, which is quite useful. In the middle here we have the main volume, we have the Q levels, we have the monitor level, and here you can select what you want to monitor, the stereo, the Q, or the groups here, if you've got 1, 3, 2 and 4, if you so desire. I don't think I've ever used it in that way, but so that's the kind of mixery side of things. And on the right hand side we have all the MiniDisc functionality, which is pretty advanced, I think. It does everything that I need it to do. Obviously you've got your standard play and record functions down here. You have a song search facility here, 2 buttons where you can shoot between songs, which obviously is very handy. You can also search by the last record in and out, or you can also search by a mark. And those of you familiar with MiniDisc will know that you could add a mark at any point in a song or a track, and that allows you to jump between those. And I find that feature very handy because very often you might come in with a guitar part after, say, 2 minutes into the song. You can add a mark over here and then search between the marks, and it allows you to jump very quickly through bits of the song. These buttons here, you can adjust the pitch. I don't think I've ever needed to do that. There's another adjust facility here, which I don't think I've ever used, but this one here, utility, is quite useful. So I've just been doing a track erase, having bounced down a couple of tracks. I then went in and used that utility to erase the tracks that I just bounced down because I didn't need them anymore, and that will free up the tracks for future use. Of course, you could just record over them, but at least this way I know the tracks are now blank and I'm not going to leave bits of stuff there that I neglected to record over. So let's go back to the start of this one. You can change the record mode. The second bit is text. That's quite useful. It allows you to add text either to the disc title or the song title. It's very handy with MiniDisc. It allows you to name things so you know what they are. And you've got pre-post roll, offline punch. The unit does have a punch in and out button on the front, which is quite useful. I don't think I've ever used it, but in principle that would allow you to punch, record in and out while you're, say, playing guitar or something and your hands are busy. You can put it on a foot switch and do that. So track erase we just covered. Song erase will delete a song, although of course if that's in the middle of your disc you'll just end up with a section in the middle, which can be quite fiddly, but it's not something I tend to do very often. And you can actually copy a song. So if you have a song which you're kind of happy with and you want to make an additional copy and tinker around with it so you don't hurt the original, you can then copy that to a different place on the disc. Given that the discs don't have a huge amount of space, that's a little bit on the expensive side, so I don't tend to do that. And you can even divide songs, combine songs that have previously been split. You've got cue list. Program play, I think you can specify an order in which the tracks play. If for some reason you had a MiniDisc album in here and you wanted to record it in the tracks in a certain order, you can program that. And then you've got your MIDI sync options there, and we're back to record mode. So we can come out of that. So other things, on here we have the time display toggles between elapsed, remain, and the total time used so far on the disc. You can specify repeat, toggle between memo A, B. And over here, 4 very important buttons. These are the record select, so they allow you to arm the tracks for recording. So it might seem a bit fiddly to someone that doesn't do multi-tracking, that you have to arm the tracks for recording and then press record, but obviously the machine needs to know which tracks you're going to record on, and it just gives you that extra confidence that you're not going to mess things up, because you have to go through the process in the right way. So if people did want to do MiniDisc recording this year, which is 2023, I believe it's still possible to buy the discs. I certainly bought a couple in the last year or so that I believe they're still being made. That's the 140 megabyte data discs. And these machines you can still find, they sell on eBay in UK money for £50, £100, something around that. So that's not too pricey. Yeah, so that's my main recording workhorse. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.